mild-mannered Mr. Gilbert had thought the damaged tapestry frame warranted 4 oh dears, what would Mrs. Gilbert's reaction be? Clara turned to place the tapestry on the bed. As she did, something floated to the floor. It was a scrap of folded paper which had been lodged between the tapestry and the board. Mr. Gilbert's feet thumped up the stairs. Picking the paper up, Clara unfolded it. There was a single handwritten word. Maestro. What on earth did that mean? Mr. Gilbert coughed in the hallway. Clara quickly refolded the paper and slipped it back under the tapestry. Mr. Gilbert came in and started to pull the bed away from the wall. The feet of the bed scraped on the wooden floor and the headboard rattled. But there was another sound too, so tiny, so minute, that Clara wondered if her ears were broken. It was the chink of something small and metallic against wood. Clara glanced at Mr. Gilbert, but he seemed not to have heard. As Mr. Gilbert swept up the glass, Clara leaned forward. Hooked to the back of the headboard on a thick piece of string dangled a small bronze key. Clara's pulse thudded in her ears. She mentally kicked herself for not checking down the back of the bed earlier. It would have saved a whole lot of bother. "I will talk to Mrs. Gilbert," Mr. Gilbert said, once the glass was swept up. He threw a wistful glance at the tapestry. It was the same kind of nurturing look Clara had seen him give the apple and plum trees in the garden. He opened the bottom drawer of their dresser and laid it carefully inside. "I'll try and smooth things over." "Thank you," said Clara, clasping her hands together. "No need to thank me yet," Mr. Gilbert replied gruffly. He gave Clara a sorrowful look which burned into her bones and made her feel very small indeed. Clara sat cross-legged on her bed, watching her spidery friends resting in the corners of their webs. One particularly large spider had spun its home between 2 of the attic beams. The web wafted in the breeze from the open window like wafer-thin washing on a clothesline. Mrs. Gilbert had returned to the cottage 10 minutes before. As Clara watched the web, she could hear the rise and fall of Mr. Gilbert's voice as he talked to his wife in their bedroom below. But she couldn't hear Mrs. Gilbert saying anything at all. Clara had braced herself for Mrs. Gilbert's sensible brown shoes to thunder up the stairs as soon as Mr. Gilbert had told her about Clara trespassing in their bedroom, on their bed, no less, and the broken tapestry frame. But it hadn't happened. Perhaps the tapestry did not mean as much to Mrs. Gilbert as Mr. Gilbert had implied. Meanwhile, Clara couldn't stop wondering what the hidden slip of paper meant. Maestro. Was that not the name for a conductor of music? There was no piano or other instrument in the cottage, and Mrs. Gilbert did not even like the gramophone. She said the noise gave her a funny head. It was all very odd. But at least Clara now knew how to get into the locked room. She stood up and walked to the open window to suck in a breath of cool air. The light was fading, faint stars studding the sky. The front door banged shut so hard it made Clara's open window shudder in surprise. Mrs. Gilbert was striding purposefully towards the hothouses. Where was she going at this time in the evening? Her head was lowered, and she was carrying a small wicker basket, a cloth covering whatever was inside. Her hair had come loose from her hat, tendrils snaking down her back. Clara felt a pull of recognition in her chest. Aside from the glisten of grey, Mrs. Gilbert's hair had a similar wave to her own and her father's. Even though Clara was not allowed to address Mrs. Gilbert as aunt, it was a sign of their relationship which could not be ignored. Mrs. Gilbert paused in front of the pineapple hothouse and pressed a hand to the glass. Her lips were moving, but the wind was not obliging that evening and did not carry her voice up to Clara's bedroom. She turned and glanced back at the cottage as if checking to see whether she was being watched. Clara ducked out of sight. A few seconds later she looked again. Mrs. Gilbert was nowhere to be seen. Clara blinked, then strained her neck, searching the gardens, but there was no sign of her. Had she gone inside the hothouse? Clara leaned